And so today we're going to discuss this article powered by Al Jazeera, and it's focusing on the Sudan war. And the title is Sudan Facing the Abyss Unless War Ends as Mass Starvation Looms. UN warns. We've discussed Sudan in the past, and this is an opportunity to just discuss where Sudan is now and what what is the future hold. And so, jumping into the article, rights chief Türk rights chief Türk warns of explosion into chaos unless action is taken to end war as famine strikes deeper. And again, we have covered this story and the famine being a emergency at the very least. And let's see what we uncover respectfully. Now, this article was on the 27th of May, 2025. More than 600,000 people in Sudan are on the brink of starvation as famine stalks the war-torn country, the United Nations has warned. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Türk said on Thursday that famine had taken hold in 5 areas across the country, including Zamzam refugee camp in North Darfur, where the UN's World Food Programme and medical charity Doctors Without Borders, known by its French initials MSF, were forced to suspend operations amid escalating violence earlier this week. Commercial break me, please. Shout out Joe T. Baker III, jtb3.org on that. And ultimately, we talk about this all the time. If that legitimacy and that certainty is not there, it makes it harder to fulfill opportunities. And operations have been suspended amid escalating violence. And you're definitely looking at the safety and well-being of the personnel looking to provide the resources. And with the escalation of violence, it just makes it that much more challenging. Back to the article. Addressing the UN Human Rights Council, Türk says Sudan was looking into the abyss, warning that famine could hit 5 more areas in the next 3 months, with a further 17 considered at risk in what he described as the world's largest humanitarian catastrophe. And this is why I really wanted to highlight this article and the current events going on in Sudan, the world's largest humanitarian catastrophe. I'm not sure if the world is talking about this enough, and I'm sure everyone's working hard. I just want to help stimulate conversation and see what solutions can be provided. Sudan is a powder keg on the verge of a further explosion into chaos and at increasing risk of atrocity crimes and mass deaths from famine, he said, urging immediate action to end the war, deliver emergency aid, and get agriculture back on its feet. Commercial break me, please. So many things in this conversation, in this statement. Verge further explosion into chaos, crimes, mass deaths, and famine. Ultimately, these are the solutions that one is looking for in the war. Deliver the emergency aid, obviously, and obviously agriculture, which is food, which is a primary a primary stimulus, if you will, a stimuli, is something that human beings need. So if you're able to grow the food and you're able to provide food for people to eat through natural means, it does provide relief. Back to the article. MSF suspended operations in and around Zamzam, where 500,000 people have sought refuge on Monday, with WFP following suit on Wednesday as fighting intensified between the military and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group. And if you want me to jump more into respectfully the Rapid Support Forces and what that looks like, leave in the comments RSF and we can jump into that in more detail. WFP has been feeding approximately 300,000 Zamzam's residents, but had only reached about 60,000 people this month amid intensified shelling, with one attack destroying the camp's central open market. Commercial break me, please. And I do want to just stand in agreement on on the spiritual side, peace, protection, grace, mercy for the people and for the personnel and the organizations and brands that are in the midst of this and providing these resources. Obviously, we want peace and a working relationship in a sustainable environment. And so we stand in agreement on those things. We know that the physical is there, and we know that faith without works is dead. But we do have to have faith, and put into the realms, if you will, just hope and faith and good uh, thoughts and care for things turning around quickly. We need all hands on deck to include the spiritual realms. Back to the article. Edom Worsornu, excuse me if I mispronounce your name, Worsornu, Edom Worsornu, the UN Humanitarian Operations Director, told the UN Security Council on Wednesday that satellite imagery showed heavy weapons were used in and around Zamzam in recent weeks. Zamzam camp is located 12 kilometers, which is 6.5 miles south of El Fashir, the capital of North Darfur, which the RSF had endless cycle of violence. The war, which broke out in April 2023, has killed tens of thousands and caused what Türk called the biggest displacement crisis in the world, with more than 12,000 people forced from their homes to camps and other locations inside and outside Sudan's borders. Türk said that recent moves by the RSF toward establishing governing authority in areas it controls were likely to further entrench divisions and the risk of continued hostilities. Commercial break me, please. Why? Because it's a new system, and a system that possibly was already created, may have been agreed upon, and people may have bought into. And so when you create a different system, I can see it being more hostility than unification, especially if conversation is not there. Respectfully, back to the article. He estimated that some 30.4 million people need assistance, including food and health care. Commercial break me, please. 30 million, over 30 million people. 30,400,000, if I'm not speaking out of ignorance, assistance with food and healthcare. Standing in agreement and giving thanks for the spiritual realm and the highest powers coming in and being a part of this to turn this around. Back to the article. Sudan's health system is under severe stress, with fewer than 30% of hospitals and clinics still working and disease spreading in the country's displacement camps. I'm going to read that again. Sudan's health system is under severe stress, with fewer than 30% of hospitals and clinics still working and disease spreading in the country's displacement camps. Cholera is currently surging in the southern state of White Nile, killing at least 70 people and infecting more than 2,200 across, according to Save the Children, citing Ministry of Health data on Thursday. The outbreak followed a reported drone strike on the area's Dabakar power station, which disrupted access to clean water in the city of Kosti. Commercial break me, please. Yeah, so when you're talking about, drone strikes and you're going to power stations and disrupting access to clean water in a city, these are the challenges that we're talking about, respectfully. And that's why I'm here looking to learn what's going on, the origin of this, what is the purpose of this, at the minimum. Back to the article. This being the challenges, the division going on in Sudan that's causing, the world's largest humanitarian crisis, if you will, if I remember what was stated earlier. Back to the article. The country has recorded more than 55,000 cholera cases and more than 1,400 deaths since the outbreak began in August last year, according to the health ministry. Children in Sudan are caught in an endless cycle of violence, disease, and hunger with devastating impact, said Muhammad Abdilaft, Abdiladif. Excuse me for mispronouncing your name. Muhammad Abdiladif, Save the Children's country director for Sudan. And that looks like that's the end of the article. And this again is coming from Al Jazeera and news agencies. Let me know what you think, about this article and what resonates with you. Do let me know, if you don't mind, where this stemmed from, where this came from. What you may think are causing the continued challenges to the situation, and what you feel some of the solutions are. And again, we want to be professional and respectful in our responses and comments. And if nothing else, we want to just stand in agreement on peace, prosperity, union, and equality of life and living, for all human beings, to include obviously in Sudan, and getting those resources there. Let me know what you think. If you have any articles that may complement what we're reading, go ahead and send them to me either through the comments or through direct messaging. Make sure you put RSF, if I've pronounced it correctly, in the comments if you want me to jump more into the rapid support forces at the minimum. And again, we stand in agreement on all things working for good and for the people of Sudan, for peace. See you in the next video.